Hope that there might be even some little thing that'll come across as different to you, and it'll help you click into that better understanding that, I always thought that I was doing Christian things, but I just didn't realise. You know when you realise? When you no longer want to watch that favourite show of yours on TV. For mine it was rugby league football. Who cares? That's, if I could spend time watching TV, I do spend time watching TV, and I need to, in a sense, because come to the end of the day, I'm like this, and I've still got all this in my head, and I'm still really, really excited. If I go to bed at 10:30 at night, I'm all like this. Every few minutes I'm picking up my phone. Actually, I'll reach for this phone because that's a useless, silly phone, and it's dead anyway. And I'm going, oh, hang on, let's open this. Let's go to the notes and do a verbal note and look. Doulos is a emotional state or something. I don't know if that's even true, but it might be something that's come across my mind, and it might be something like that, for example, and I am just in bed for an hour, 2 hours, and I've still got all these things going through my head. So once I get up from this computer, I then have to go and watch TV that will take my mind off it all, and hopefully after an hour, some of the time 2 hours, my mind has calmed down, that I'm sort of getting tired and sleepy and I can't really think about things anymore, and I go to bed and fall asleep. Some of the time I go out and I watch TV for a couple of hours and go to bed, and I go to bed and, oh, yes, pick up that phone. Oh, I've got this idea and that idea. Charis, is that happening in your life? Charis is, and I said before, I got to a point where God is in my head 70% of the time. Who cares about watching football anymore? And I will watch TV, but football's not on at 10 o'clock at night when I turn the TV on to get myself to bed, so I'll just watch whatever's on at that time. And not because I want to watch it, because I want something to stop me from thinking about, and dare I say it, godly things. I used to write messages to deliver, but who's got time to write a message now when you can just sit there and go on 10 times longer? There's just so much. And I've got to a point where it's not 70% of my time per hour, 70% of every hour. It's now 90% of every hour. Not your every thought can be on God, or not your every action can be something that God needs you to do. But even when I do things in the natural, like, got to eat, I'll often be thinking of, oh, wow, hey, this is an interesting thought. I'll have to add that to my next message while I'm eating. You are compelled. You don't want to watch TV shows. The only TV shows you want to watch is Prince preaching, and here's another thing I want to say, and Joseph Prince is fine, he's probably one of the best preachers we have, but personally, no matter who's preaching, I'm usually sitting there thinking, oh, tell me about something that'll take my walk with God one step further. This feels like the milk of the word. And everybody seems to be preaching the milk of the word. This, what I'm saying right now, might not take your Christianity further. But it's all about taking your Christianity further. So I hope it does. I hope that even though I may have waffled through it, and I may even keep much of that waffling within the editing, I don't know how much I'm going to edit out. I'm just, 4 hours into a monologue. And if the Spirit moving in me is moving my spirit to do such things, and my schedule's getting blown out, and there's so much that I'm not getting done, and there's so much that I know God wants me to do, then I can't even imagine what my future's going to be like. I desperately need someone else to edit. I haven't got the time for it. I desperately need people to start that network of people, the community, getting people to communicate with each other, getting people to meet each other, being the representative in certain suburbs or within their church, or getting, finding out who will be the early discipleship trainer, who will be the call discovery help person, or the call training people, or who will help others launch their ministries. Or I can't do that. I don't have the time. It's a massive job that's going to take, dare say it, millions of people. As I say, this is just the very early stage, and as I say this, again, it's not about me. I don't care. I am here to get you people preaching these messages. I don't want to sit here talking about things like this. I don't want to teach people about cars. I want this message to inspire you people to earnestly want God in your life so much that God moves in your life and you just become compelled to live in God every moment. And all you can do is, you can't get God out of your head, and therefore you will go knock on the neighbours' doors instead of watching Neighbours on TV. Because you have a compelling need from God to do whatever it is you're called to do. Mine might be temporarily to sit here and give these messages, and to write a book, and to create the framework of an organisation, and to conceive roles within the organisation, and other roles that already exist, like pastor or evangelist or counsellor or usher or whatever, and develop training for every single one of those roles. And there's hundreds. Well, there's 140 odd roles that I'd identified within the normal church. Things like, the helps ministry roles, or the hospital visitation team, or the street outreach, or the food to the hungry people ministry, or whatever. They're all roles that do currently exist, and each one of those I could write a page on, and I've got like 140 odd of those alone, let alone the new roles that will come from this organisation. I'm pretty sure I've said this before. So that first page is just an outline of what it is. The training for it, well, there's another 3-4 pages, right up to 300-400 pages, depending on what role it is. For an usher, it might be 3 or 4 pages. For a pastor, it might be 300 or 400 pages. Well, maybe not. Could easily be, though. I don't know. I haven't done it yet. Will I have time to sit down and do that? No. Will God make time for me to sit down and do that? Maybe. Will God bring somebody along to help me do that? Maybe. I expect so. But I had no idea I'd be sitting here half of the day just talking about all this. I don't know what God has happening tomorrow. I have God make plans for me at times. Like, one of the things that's caused me to head down this track was to do with the evangelism, and pastor told me to talk to this person because they're the most evangelical person in the church. They're not an official evangelist, but they are a person that goes out on a Friday night, and I found out about their evangelism and how they are a disciple of Ray, and well, that's led to all this. I wasn't expecting all this. I wasn't expecting to. I didn't go, right, Tuesday morning I'm going to start talking to the camera on the computer at 9:30, and I'm still going to be talking to it at 1:37 in the afternoon, and with a desire to go have a shower, because I haven't even had a shower today yet. I'm going to have to cut it there. I think I'm done. Who knows? God might have me come back after I've had a shower. Are you a person that has charis obvious in your life? Is your life walking away from sin, and not out of your own strength of, to get to heaven I need to stop sitting and start doing charity things? No. Is your heart a heart of, God, come and do whatever you want with me? I'm just your servant. I'm your slave. You do whatever you want. And then God says, right, we'll sit there for 4 hours and talk about anything, and I'll tell you what to say. Well, I use those words because they're in the Bible. When you're taken before the judges, the Holy Spirit will tell you what to say. Well, that's what's been happening. I've been sitting here for 4 hours, and I didn't have any plan for anything to say. In fact, I thought, I should say a couple of words on this, and that's how God works. When God's in your life is consumed by God. Everything you do, you say, all you want to do and say, or anything. You don't care about the news. You don't care about what the neighbours have been doing. You don't care what the family's doing. You don't care about anything. Unless, of course, what the family's doing is something that you can bring them to God through. Well, then you might mention it or something. But, God was the important part of that sentence. You just don't care. Not because you've become a careless person, but because all your care is wrapped up in just a wonderful thing, and that wonderful thing is God. And I really wish I could express the beauty in the emotion, the beauty in the understanding, the beauty in the feeling of relationship, the beauty of looking back at what you've been talking about for 4 hours, because I'll get to do that soon. And I might be sitting there going, wow, did I really say that? Wow. God's doing incredible things. I said, God, come into my life, and I'm not going to give you a little corner of my heart. I'm not going to give you 5% of my life. You get the lot. Because if you give God 5% of your life, let's reverse it. If you give God 95% of your life, you're still holding on to that little bit of you. And as long as you hold on to that little bit of you, me, I'm important, then you haven't given your life to God. Well, not properly. You might have said a sinner's prayer, but it meant nothing. Because you haven't sacrificed your life with Christ. You haven't taken up your cross. You haven't become doulos, a slave of Christ. Paul and Peter would open their letters to churches, etc., saying, Paul, a doulos of Christ. And the word doulos means slave. Paul, a slave of Christ. I understand it. I'm compelled to this. I'm merely doing what my master says. He's my Lord and Master. I want to go have a shower. I still haven't been able to get up and have a shower. There is funny things in it like that. It's a joyous thing, like... Maybe you haven't got there. Maybe you ain't just gave to your life. Maybe you haven't even given your life to God yet. Okay, whatever. Let's say you have. Let's say you only gave your life to God a month ago. You're heading towards this point where not only God is everything, and you say God is everything, but you look at how you've been spending your life, what you've been putting your time into, how you talk to people, your conversation, when they talk about what the neighbours have been doing, you just want to start turning it around to God. When two people are in the car discussing whatever it was on TV, it's like you'll sit there and you'll be thinking of, well, when I get home, I'll need to do this because that's what God's called me to do, and I'll need to do that because that's what God's called me to do. I'm thinking about natural things of what I might need to do, but they're what God's called me to do, so it's still God's work that I'm thinking on. Or I might be thinking on, wow, John 3:16 said, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. I wonder why it's begotten. Because he was already his Son beforehand. Is that something to do with the birth factor? Because Jesus was already his Son since before the beginning of time, because they were already a three-part God. And I might be thinking on something like that. I don't care about the conversation. It's not that I don't care about the people. I care about them deeply. And I know that it is very, very difficult to bring these things up. I bring things up that are not these subjects, but are touching on these subjects. Something that I've learnt that might be more natural. But that natural thing that I've learnt has spiritual connotations to it. And I'm basically told to shut up. Or somebody changes the subject to something else and they say, yes, I'm changing the subject to shut you up. It's like, what the? Okay. I know you don't get it. And probably don't get it now either. And that moves me. I'm thinking yet again, well, maybe I think I'm done. I'm hoping I'm done and I can go have a shower. I'm pretty sure I'm done this time. Okay, so this has now turned into a video series, obviously, because there's no way I can present this as one single video. Bless you. Govern well in Caris. Oh, I didn't turn the camera off. It's still recording. Appropriate, because I came back with something else on my mind. I just got up to go have a shower, but I thought, well, look, I've got to go to the toilet first, and I put a towel, not to wipe myself down after the shower, but a towel to wipe the shower down after I have the shower, on my shoulder, which I never do, and walked out and had a mouthful of coffee. And I needed to go to the toilet. And the point is, I've never put that on my shoulder and walked out with that towel on my shoulder. I was going to put it in the bathroom to wipe the shower down later. I couldn't think of what I was doing properly. My mind was on God still. My mind was on this still. My mind was on you still. I couldn't even think to go to the toilet, and I still need to go to the toilet before I go have a shower. I still need to get my clothes to put on after the shower, etc., and everything. But here I am, so caught up in what I'm thinking, because God's in my head, that I'm doing things that A, I don't do, like the towel, B, go for the coffee because I've forgotten I'm even going to the toilet, so I'm just walking out that way, and God in my head so much. And then come back, it's like, well, hang on, what am I doing here? I realised after I'd had the mouthful of coffee, in fact, just before I even picked the coffee cup up, it's like, why did I even bring this towel out here? I'm just, hang on, what am I doing having a cup of coffee? I was going to put the towel in the shower, in the bathroom, and go to the toilet. That's what I'm talking about. It just happened to me right there and then. And this time I'm going to turn the video off, and this time I'm going to go have a shower. But that's God. Just walking to do one thing, just having a mouthful of coffee, just while you go to the toilet, everything. Constant. The constant desire to show God to people, the constant desire to commune with God, the constant desire to learn more about God, the constant desire to discover your call, train in your call, launch your call, do what God has called you to, because you're working your way to heaven? No. Because God did so much for you that you just want to say thank you. But not only that, because God has, in the process, taught you so much that you want other people to understand that as well. You want other people to understand what a relationship with God is like. You want people to realise that they can have that kind of relationship with God. All they need to do is say, yes, I hear there's gold in Victoria, Australia. I'm on my way to the harbour right now, and I'm going to sign that passenger book and get on that ship to Australia. I'm going to sell all my stuff to pay the fare, because what's at the other end is worth far more than my life here now. It's, if you get that, then your life changes massively. And there are many Christians, I expect, that have sort of started on that journey, but still don't comprehend. God becomes everything. You don't care about watching the news. I mean, you might watch a little bit of it, but you just generally just don't care. You don't care about watching your favourite sport anymore. It might still be your favourite sport, but who cares? It's, you'd rather be sitting there writing a message to tell people about God, or you'd rather be knocking on the neighbour's door and telling them about God, or going to the homeless shelter and serving in some way, in hope that somebody might ask you about God. And if they don't, you might be encouraged that, hey, while you're here, this shelter is helping you out, but can I tell you some things that will make your life absolutely wonderful? Don't do it just for the charity's sake. Do it for God's sake. And if you're doing it for God's sake, you're going to be compelled to tell them about God. And you're going to be compelled not to tell them about the heaven-hell thing. Well, not the be selfish enough to take yourself from hell and put yourself in heaven. It is a purely selfish thing. It's the most selfish thing you can think of. All I'm thinking about is me. There's nothing else in it but me. Whereas, sure, you gain out of the relationship I'm talking about. But the relationship I'm talking about isn't a relationship that is just there for your gain. Like getting from heaven to hell is just there for your gain. The relationship I'm talking about sure brings love, joy, peace, patience, etc. But far more than that, it compels you. It blows your mind daily, and it makes you want to do those godly things. A, to say thank you to God, and B, to help everybody else out. Let them know that they can have a wonderful life. They're struggling. Let them have the same life. Let them have the glory of relationship. Okay, yet again, this time I'm moderately confident I'm going to get to the shower. In fact, this time I'm actually going to shut the video down. Bless you. Government will encourage us.